Good morning, everybody. To talk about nitrogen, let's try to make this not so boring, right? We hear about nitrogen all the time, but that's because it's a notoriously leaky system. I think the speaker before last had a good point that I think fertilizer industry overall hasn't seen a lot of innovation. Nitrogen management's gotten a bit better, I think, or at least the knowledge around what we need to do. But it's still a perennial challenge just because of those loss mechanisms and probably really the lack of tools to make the changes that even from a farmer-centric or agronomic-centric point of view, we know we need to make. But there's just those gaps still in technology that's preventing us from doing that. So what's the name of the game? The name of the game is always to apply nitrogen when and where the crop is going to use it, right? If it's sitting in the soil, not being taken up by the plant, that's when you're exposed to loss. Now we have certain tools to help us with that, but normally they either involve an additional cost and or some huge change here to the way you manage nitrogen today. But at the end, our goal is, if you see these yellow bars, is to move nitrogen application from the yellow bars into some of the blue, ideally into some of the dark blue where you've got growth. We all know the nitrogen demand curve, but how do we get there? How do we get nitrogen application in season where it's going to be completely effective? And that's where alignN encapsulated urea technology comes in. This is a micro-encapsulated foliar-applied nitrogen product that actually solves for a problem that maybe we didn't even know we had. There are foliar options out there, but primarily those have been designed to prevent against loss from volatilization or the atmosphere. And they do a good job of that. But again, we're talking about old phosphorus technology. This foliar technology in the market is over 50 years old. There hasn't been any iteration since then. So what we aim to do is solve the problem of how do we get an effective foliar application in season that delivers a core nitrogen load that can perform almost like a side dress application versus a nice to have in-season top-up. So what we've designed with our unique biopolymer chemistry is able to deliver that nitrogen into the leaf quickly, effectively, and allow the plant to assimilate that using minimal energy. That is all leading to a huge jump in nitrogen use efficiency and the ability for farmers now to make better decisions and hedge bets in season because they know they can put alignN in the tank with an early post-herbicide spray or a late fungicide application. Again, going in with the tank, not disrupting management operations, and then getting a core nitrogen delivery load, which is actually something that has been a gap in the industry. In 2025, we had a massive trialing effort. We had over 10,000 acres of trialing throughout the Midwest in corn. I'm a huge proponent of doing on-farm trialing, but doing so in a way that we're capturing massive amounts of data. So this was all used with digital spatial data collection, spatial analytics, and modeling. So this is statistically relevant data coming off the farm of over 10,000 acres. You can see there's a couple different scenarios where this can be utilized. This isn't a one-size-fits-all. Either you've got your nitrogen really dialed in and you're just looking for that additional boost in productivity. That is an amazing option if you're using standard nitrogen practice and coming in and adding to that. Huge win rates in that scenario. If you are looking to look for ways to reduce your preseason nitrogen application and move some of that in season, we see a really effective win rate when doing that as well. Interestingly, if you think about reducing 40 or 20 pounds of nitrogen, you would expect maybe a flat yield gain, but what we're seeing is actually a boost in that yield productivity because there's lots of things going on in the soil when you're not just totally overwhelming the system with nitrogen all at one time. You actually get some agronomic yield gains on top of that. So in a really tough economic environment, looking for ways to give growers additional tools without additional cost, without additional management shifts. We're coming at this from more of a commodity nitrogen perspective, giving growers access to a premium nitrogen product at commodity levels, and just using this as a really innovative nitrogen management tool. So super quick, but we're at booth 5309. Yes, like the song 5309. It's right back behind you. And we've got Temple Roads, Chad Henderson from the Extreme Ag Group. We've got coffee and mugs. Come talk to us. Come talk about their experience using alignN and what it might possibly do for you this season. So really appreciate it.